This is a movie that really makes me appreciate directors like Spike Lee, people who won't crumble under the devastating horrors that are happening under the current administration, but who are brave and also provocative enough to create something that pushes back. This is BlacKkLansman.
White power! Black power!
Knights of the Ku Klux Klan.
That's us, Stallworth Brothers.
We're on a roll, baby.
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage, and in his newest film, filmmaker Spike Lee tells one hell of a true story. Or as they put it, this joint is based upon some for real shit. BlacKkLansman tells the story of Ron Stallworth, the first African-American police officer and detective in the Colorado Springs Police Department, who successfully infiltrated the local Ku Klux Klan. This sounds totally bonkers, and I still remember that I thought this would be a comedy when I first heard about the project some time ago. And it does indeed feature a lot of humor, but at its heart it's a very frightening and heavy crime drama. The actual events that it's based on took place in 1979, but the film moved them back 7 years to 1972 to incorporate the then trendy Blaxploitation movies as well as the re-election campaign of President Nixon, which supposedly was supported by the Klan. And I think that's quite important to mention because I haven't seen a movie in a long time that blurred the lines between art and real life as much and as fascinating as this film does. Right from the beginning it confronts the audience with images and sounds of D.W. Griffith's 1915 epos The Birth of a Nation, a movie that is held in high regards when it comes to its groundbreaking, influential new storytelling techniques, but it's also one of the most notorious ones in film history because of its racist overtones and the glorification of the Ku Klux Klan, which was a major reason for the real Klan to gain power again. BlacKkLansman begins with a white supremacist using material to forward his agenda, and he's played by Alec Baldwin. Right now Baldwin is probably the most prominent Donald Trump impersonator in the entertainment industry, and the connection to the current president is an association that's very easy to make. Art is always political to a certain degree, and from Spike Lee, who made such powerful films like Do the Right Thing or Malcolm X, I wouldn't expect any less than a direct comment and of course criticism of Trump's presidency. I don't want to take away the ending of the film, and I heard before that some people think it's immensely powerful while others argue it's too much and not necessary. I can only speak for myself, but I found it to be perfect and bold and incredibly heart-wrenching, but most importantly, important and necessary. Maybe not absolutely necessary for the film, but necessary for our times right now. And it goes without saying that the whole film and the themes of race and bigotry couldn't be more timely, and this applies not just to the USA, but to humanity on a global level. The film comes back to Birth of a Nation at a very crucial moment later on, alongside a small but important role played by the legendary Harry Belafonte, who was an early supporter of the civil rights movement. The film also, like I said, features some blaxploitation references, like for example the movie Shaft. It also makes several rather obvious allusions to Trump, like for example his whole Make America Great Again shtick. The casting of John David Washington in the lead alone is quite special too, because he's the son of Denzel Washington, with whom Spike Lee worked 4 times in the past, most notably probably for Malcolm X. It's also very nice to see Topher Grace back in the 70s. He portrays David Duke, who at the time was the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, and yes, that's really their official term. And it is also true that the real Ron Stallworth did indeed spoke with Duke over the phone, who of course assumed that he was talking to a white guy. It's also a fact that Stallworth infiltrated the Klan with the help of a white surrogate. In reality there were actually 2 people, and to this date there's not much known about them. In the film it's the Jewish detective Flip Zimmerman, played by Adam Driver. By making him Jewish and of course playing a lot with the Klan's hatred for Jews, the film adds another layer. We have one person who is considered to be a lesser human being by the stupid racists of the Klan, and they can easily recognize him because of his appearance alone. And then we have one person who is almost as hated by them, but their twisted minds have no chance to spot him just by looks. There are many tense moments arising from that, and the film is shot and directed in a way that's really seductive. For once, Spike Lee really succeeds in creating a feeling for the 70s. It was shot on film, on location, and another key player is the score by Terence Blanchard. Sometimes haunting and brooding, sometimes very cool and lean back. I'm not a big expert on Spike Lee, but from what I've seen, he often uses rather recognizable but also often quite powerful techniques to emphasize certain aspects. In an early sequence where we, together with Ron Stallworth, experience a speech by Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture, Lee highlights certain faces in the audience to show the effect on those people and probably also to underline their coming together and maybe the intimacy and empowering they felt in that moment. There are also a few instances where Lee shows a certain brief action, for example hanging up the phone from two different perspectives in quick succession. Overall, BlacKkLansman is told in a rather playful fashion, and even though the narrative feels a bit uneven at times, it never ever lost my interest, which can be attributed to the fascinating story, the great performances and Lee's direction. Not everything is coming together perfectly. The relationship to Laura Harrier's character, Patrice Dumas, who is the president of the Black Student Union for example, feels a bit underwritten. And there are also some story progressions that didn't seem all that logical to me. While watching, I thought it was fine because I didn't know what was actually true and what was exaggerated or added for the film version. But now in retrospect, I guess some elements could have been handled better. Because while the basic story about a black guy who infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan is what happened, pretty much everything else, including most characters, and also the whole finale, is fiction. And that's not a bad thing. After all, this is art and it takes something from reality to create something that shines a light back on it. And I think it's a very bright light. Maybe the comparison is a bit far-fetched, but it's the first thing that came to my mind and I don't think it's that bad. I know that Spike Lee and Quentin Tarantino aren't really on good terms, but the way Lee created something extraordinary, basing his film on this true story, Tarantino did his own version of World War II with Inglourious Basterds, and I think both films are very entertaining and thought-provoking and empowering at the same time. So in German I'd say, Spike Lee ist mit BlacKkLansman ein wirklich starker Film gelungen, der zeitgemäßer und wichtiger nicht sein könnte. Er ist traurig und lustig, provokant und intelligent, verdammt unterhaltsam, aber auch erschreckend aktuell. I give BlacKkLansman 8 out of 10. It's more like 8.1, but I don't do that.
America first.
America first. America first.
If I would have known this was a Klan meeting, I wouldn't have taken this mother.
Alright, that's it. Like always, comment below and let me know what you think about BlacKkLansman. And also please let me know what is your favorite film by Spike Lee. You can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.